Okay, we're back in our Hirschbach studio. It's Friday, and we've got our weekly podcast. I've got Rob Oddie with me today, our VP of Safety, and we've got a few. It'll be a relatively short broadcast today. We've got three topics we're going to talk about. Rob's going to start off with roadside inspections, and I'm going to go through the survey results from last week, and then we'll spend a little time talking about what's going on with trucks and parts availability and some supply chain challenges that are happening out there and some things that we could do to minimize the impact of those. But we're going to start with the roadside inspections we got coming up. When's that start, Rob?
Hi, Brad. May 4th to May 6th, the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance,
Okay.
CVSA, is conducting one of their they call them the International Road Check. People usually call them the Blitz, a period of increased roadside inspection. So yeah, that's May 4th to May 6th.
Okay. And what can our drivers do to make sure that they're prepared for the roadside inspections during that time?
Well, that's a great question. So I think one of the best ways you can prepare is to not get inspected. And one of the best ways to not get inspected is to make sure you're driving right safely and within the requirements of the law. About a third of roadside inspections happen because of a driver behavior. Mm-hmm. So the officer will observe a driver. It's typically something like speeding. And it doesn't have to be a lot over the limit. It's just got to be something over the limit that catches an eye, or operating in the wrong lane. Mm-hmm. So some driver behavior, maybe following too close or something like that as well, is going to trigger a roadside inspection. Mm-hmm. So one of the best ways to do well on inspections is just to not get inspected. Yeah. A whole bunch of other inspections happen from an officer observing an equipment violation, like a light being out or something. And that certainly gets us into then the part of the focus area of this year. Brad asked what you can expect. You can expect a high focus area on lights on your vehicle. So when you're doing your pre-trip and along the way inspections and your post-trip inspections, make sure you're checking all your equipment. Lights are a big focus area, and that's the tractor lights, the trailer lights, the ABS lights. That'll be a big area of focus as far as equipment. Like we said, pre-trip inspections are one of the best ways to get to do well on that. And what I'd suggest you do is get after it now. Don't wait until May 2nd or May 3rd to make sure everything's in top shape on your truck. And you can certainly swing by one of our terminals, and our maintenance teammates will be happy to take an inspection of your truck and help you get things squared away before the increased enforcement starts. So that's a good way to avoid or to do well on an inspection, is to not get inspected. If you are inspected, another focus area this year is going to be on your logbook and your hours of service. And so I asked our folks in compliance to give me a list of the common things that we see that we want some help with in particular. So one of the big ones is simply verifying your logs. Mm-hmm. Making sure that you're verifying your logs every day. And what they recommend is once in the morning and then once in the evening as well. That's just low-hanging fruit for an inspector to write a violation, and that's something you can avoid real easy. You want to make sure you're annotating all your work, all your on-duty time. It helps us understand what you've been doing when you're on line 4. That's especially true if you're going to be using a PC. You got to annotate that, and then the other thing is make sure you're using your PC correctly, your personal conveyance correctly. So it's not available for any work-related activity, and that's another thing that people get wrong, and then an inspector will certainly write a violation for that, and that's considered a falsification, which is a pretty meaningful point violation. So nothing work-related, no fueling, no moving to a customer, no moving to a shop or anything like that. So get that PC right. Want to make sure you can access your documents on the tablet that you're going to need. And we got some help for you. There's some videos on Facebook and then also on your Hirschbach app in our library on there. You want to make sure you can get your hands on or show the inspecting officer the guide to your diagnostic and malfunction events, your TransFlow ELD user manual, and your guide to data transfer at a roadside inspection. Make sure you're logging your roadside inspection stuff is on duty on line 4. And then also check all your assets to make sure they're showing up on your log. Your tractor number, your trailer number, your shipping paper number. Make sure you got the right truck assigned. Everything's correct on that. A lot of that stuff self-populates now. You do yourself a real favor by backstopping that and making sure it's correct. So those are a couple of the focus areas. And then I guess what I'd say is I'd really see this as an opportunity to, some people fear these kind of things. You know, they're worried about getting caught, or
Sure.
they think it could be bad.
Yeah, I've even seen drivers that have taken time off specifically not
Really?
to be out there during this time period. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's one way too, yeah. Of course, you lose a little money doing that. So rather than have, be afraid of this kind of stuff, I would embrace it. I really would, as an opportunity to show off. To show off your driving, to show off your equipment, and just to show off well for our whole team. Something about these inspections is they feed back into our CSA scores. And another big reason why drivers get inspected is if they're working with a carrier who has too high of CSA scores. So how you drive and how you do on these inspections, it certainly affects you. It also affects all your fellow men and women who drive with you on Hirschbach. And how they drive affects you, and how you drive affects them. So this is a real team effort as well. And so, yeah, take the opportunity to embrace this and do well, because if you are inspected, when you pass with no violations, that helps our scores. And then those scores come down, and then guess what happens? Less inspections, right? And while inspections are important, they're also a dinger on productivity. So it's a good opportunity to really tighten some things up between now and then, and make sure you're driving, the Hirschbach way. Use the Safe 6, and you'll be in good shape for these inspections.
Yeah, nothing to fear here. We've got nice new equipment. It's being properly maintained. We've got great drivers here at Hirschbach. Let's go out there and let's get some clean inspections. As Rob said, this is a great opportunity for us to show the inspectors what we've got. Let's not give them a reason to pull us over, but I don't think we've got anything to fear out there from this. In fact, these practices that Rob discussed, whether we've got a roadside inspection going on for a few days or not, these are really the things that I know the vast majority of you are doing on a day in and day out basis, and is part of being a professional driver. And want to thank all of you for doing these things on a daily basis. It's certainly part of being a professional driver, and you folks do it real well.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Brad. And make sure you reach out for help, too.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of teammates here that support you, that care about you, and that want to help you operate and be successful here with Hirschbach. So you got your folks in maintenance. Certainly all your operations teammates want to help you, and they can get you routed to the right people if they can't answer your questions on this. Your folks in logs and compliance, driver training, and safety as well. So just reach out for help if you want any, and we'll make sure we do that for you.
Well, anything else to add, Rob?
No, enjoy your weekend, and I'm glad I had a chance to check in with you here today, and thanks for the opportunity, Brad.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate it.
All right, you bet.
All right. We'll say goodbye to Rob, and we'll continue on with the podcast. A couple of other topics, as I mentioned. We've been doing these surveys now for a while, probably a couple months or something like that. And last week's survey was really focused around when you're parked and you're taking your breaks, sort of the way for you to entertain yourself, whether that be through DirecTV or using the in-cab Wi-Fi for catching a movie or watching a ball game or what have you. And so we got some survey results, and I'll start on the DirecTV. So on the DirecTV, 85% of our drivers don't use DirecTV. We know some of you don't have DirecTV, but of the group that responded here, and we had a nice, pretty good sized group, about 500 people that responded to the survey. Let's see, a third of you we asked, would you want to pay $25 a month for DirecTV? A third of you said no, and about 2/3 of you said yes. So there's a pretty high level of interest in having DirecTV out there on the road. It seems to be a little bit more reliable than the Wi-Fi, from what I understand. I'm going to go out there and experiment myself with the Wi-Fi and the DirecTV when I get out there next time. But as far as the DirecTV goes, they are available. We have DirecTV units. You are able to get those installed. We're going to a window mount on the DirecTVs as opposed to mounted in the rear of the cab. So if you're interested in that, just let the folks, I don't know, who were they supposed to let know? Do we know?
They can let their DMs know.
Yeah, you let your DMs know, and they'll get you connected to the right people there. The rest of the survey results are focused. We've got our TransFlow system that has a Wi-Fi capability. You're able to connect it to your smart TV or your Roku sticks and stream things and what have you, whether it be your Netflix or Hulu or what have you. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with your in-cab Wi-Fi? We got a 4.1, so not a great score there. And along the same lines, how satisfied are you with streaming movies and television in your truck? 3.7. And for browsing purposes, 4. So all around the same, about a 4 out of scale of 10. So there's some folks that aren't thrilled with the reliability. We know that it gets throttled down at times and what have you. So we're working on looking at how we can improve that situation, and stay tuned. So thank you for replying to the survey results. This week we don't have a survey. We'll have another one next week, and keep engaged with you on topics that, in fact, maybe for those of you that are listening, if you're on live now, or if you're watching or listening to this pre-recorded, and if you got ideas on other things, other survey topics that you think we ought to engage the fleet on, let us know. Let us know. Okay, the next topic I wanted to move on to, I had mentioned, was sort of trucks and equipment, and you hear a lot of things going on out there with part shortages and raw material shortages, silicone chips, all these sort of things, delays at ports, lots of ships being stacked up out in Los Angeles. It's like a armada out there with about, huge cargo ships loaded up with containers of product that are waiting in line to be unloaded, in many cases, I understand, for weeks. We had the Suez Canal, not the Suez Canal, wrong continent, the Panama Canal recently. I'm sure you heard there was a large ship that got stuck in there sideways, and all these things, COVID and people not as many people being in factories, working, producing things. All these things have created this a lot of shortages out there, shortages of products, and then transportation being jammed up, whether it be in the ships, like I said, or the ports, or once they get off the ports, trucking is very tight. The driver pool, as we've discussed, from the start of pre-COVID to now, is shrunk about 5%, largely due to the fact that 50% fewer drivers, new drivers, came into the industry last year. So all these things have really created a lot of supply chain disruptions and shortages out there. And so, like new trucks, for example, we're 200 trucks behind schedule, new trucks, from what we were planning on doing. And so the trucks get produced and they're short a part, so they got to park it off to the side until a part comes in. Fortunately, we've got about 150 trucks that are manufactured that have some part or parts that need to be added to the trucks before they can be delivered to us. Fortunately, those parts have come in, and now the log jam is getting loosened. Hopefully, we'll not see further delays from the other trucks that haven't been produced yet, but certainly wouldn't be surprised if we experience delays on future trucks as well. So I wanted to make you aware that the new trucks are coming in a little slower than we anticipated, but I think we in-serviced 31 trucks last week, and we're expecting to in-service about the same this week, and I think starting next week for several weeks, based on what we're expecting to come in, we'll be seating 50-plus trucks, new trucks, a week starting next week. So that situation's looking a little bit better, but these shortages are not just limited to components going into new trucks. We're also seeing shortages of parts to repair existing trucks. So those of you that are out there in your trucks, you've got an issue with your truck. We're seeing significant delays as it relates to parts availability. So what I would tell you is we are being very proactive in this area. I can tell you Nick and Scott and the maintenance team, they are identifying and working closely with our dealerships and our manufacturers to identify which parts are in short supply and figuring out ways that we can sort of stockpile those at our dealership location partners, local dealerships, and at our shops. So if we have one of these parts that is hard to find, that we've got some of them in our back pocket. That's not always able to happen. One of the things I would say to you is that there's necessary work to be done, repairs on a truck, and then there's sort of unnecessary work to be done. I won't call it unnecessary, but not safety related, or it doesn't impede the operation of the truck. It might be something related to something on the dash, or a door on a cabinet, or something along those lines. And what I would say is that we really want to minimize those situations and get those, what I'll call it, non-mission critical items. We want that work done in our shops and not at the dealerships. The dealerships are really bogged down. It's tough to get into the dealerships, and we really want to limit the amount of work that we're doing in at the dealerships to just what I would call emergency essential work. And ideally that work would be done in our shops as well, but of course that can't always be done. And if we can limit it to just that one vital essential item to be done at the shop, we've got a better chance of having the parts. We've got a better chance of getting you in and out of the shop within 24 hours or less. When we get a whole list of things and we get some items that are not what I'll call mission critical on that list, it really extends the amount of time, and it really increases the probability that we're going to have a part shortage out there. So I wanted to share that with you. We're talking about these things internally with the maintenance department and with the operations group, and wanted to get out in front of it with you as well and let you know that we're being very proactive in this area. We know keeping you running, keeping you up and running, and keeping you in, making sure that the equipment is working properly and is safe is mission number one. We certainly, if we've got some other item that needs to be done, we're going to make sure that we order those parts, and when they're available at our shop, we'll get you into one of our shops to get those items addressed. The other thing I would say that we're talking about doing is towing. If we have a truck that needs to be towed, as opposed to towing it to a dealer, again because of the delays at dealers and so forth, we're going to be looking at towing the trucks back to our closest shop location, so we can control that repair not only at our shop with our mechanics, but if we need to involve a dealer, it's much better for us to involve a local dealer who's doing a lot of business with us than some other dealer that doesn't sell us the trucks or doesn't do a lot of business with us directly. So that's pretty much what I had to say on the equipment side of things. Freight, just in general, freight is very, very strong out there. We've got plenty of miles. We've got lots of new business coming on board, both on the dedicated and over the road side. We've got a ton of needs for drivers to handle this additional freight. So please, if you've got someone that is a quality individual that wants to drive, whether they got a CDL or they don't have a CDL, we've got a home for them. The CDL program is coming on board. Is ramping up quickly. I just got an update yesterday from Brian Hammond and his crew on how we're doing and getting that program going. Today we're already training we've got about 45 trainers out there. I want to thank the 45 of you that are out there training for your efforts in working with and producing quality drivers for Hirschbach. The students that we're training now do have CDLs. They just don't have enough experience for Hirschbach, so we basically bring them in here for a week, give them some training here in Dubuque, and then they go out with a trainer for 4 weeks. Now, the Inexperienced CDL program for drivers that just show up with a permit, that program is starting May 17th as our first class here in Dubuque. We're starting with 3 drivers a week for about a month, and then we're going to ramp up to 6 for a month, and then we'll ramp up to 9. So we need some more trainers. If you're interested in becoming a trainer, let your driver manager know. You could reach out to Heather Hubbard. You can reach out to Brian Hammond. They're looking for another 45 trainers to get trained up in order to support the 9 drivers a week that'll be coming through in about 3 months from now. I guess that's about all I've got. I just want to thank everyone again for doing such an excellent job. We have seen some really nice improvements in the safety area. We've had several weeks here with very low accident rates. So please, your safety, the safety of those around you is certainly number one. And, please take your time in close quarters. And, I know there's some tight situations out there. I've certainly run into many myself. Take the extra time to get out and assess the situation. No harm done in having to back up and pull up a few times in order to get it in the right position. I certainly... when I'm out there, it might take me 2 or 3 times before I get myself in a position where I'm comfortable backing up. So, please take your time out there, and thank you for being such great operators. I'm looking forward to getting back out there. It's been a couple months for me, so. Sarah's over here taking notes, and we've got to get it on my schedule to get back out there sometime soon. The weather's nice. We're not quite out of COVID yet, but, more and more people are getting vaccinated every day. The last thing I'd leave you with from the COVID standpoint is, work with Christy. I was just talking to her. If you need help getting coordinated, getting scheduled to get a vaccine, she's working with our drivers on a daily basis to get them routed in and take advantage of that. We're happy to help you out there. Warren just handed me an iPad here. You got some questions, Warren?
Yeah, there's a couple.
All right. Should have worn my glasses. All right, let's see. I got a hi, Brad. Thank you. All right. So a question on this is always a popular topic, the Trick Your Truck program. We have the Trick Your Truck program. If you're not familiar with it, you can order a truck with your specifications. You want a different color, you want to do manual transmission versus automatic, you want different gauges, you want a different configuration, you want the studio sleeper package or what have you. Those are some of the, more popular things I'd say that people do in the Trick Your Truck program. One question here is the type of truck. Someone's asked about a Lone Star, which is a beautiful truck that Navistar makes. I'm not sure how much they weigh. So the challenge we have with certain trucks, whether it's a W900 or a Lone Star or something like that, is running into weight problems. So I would tell you on the inquiry on the Lone Star, we'll check on the weight for you and let you know. I'll work with Jan and Garrett and that crew out there, and we'll see if we can't get you an answer one way or another, whether it's a yes or no. We love Lone Stars. They're beautiful trucks. I'm concerned they're too heavy to haul some of the freight that we've got, but we'll check that out for you. And really, looks like I've got one other question in here. It was really a suggestion on a load board concept. We'll follow up on that. I'm not familiar with that, Donald. We'll get back in touch with you here and talk to you about your idea. As it relates to ideas that you folks have, we've got lots of ways for you to reach out to us. We want to hear your suggestions and ideas. We've got a great company, and we're trying to get better every day. So if you've got ideas and thoughts on how we can do that, let us know. Right on your app, there's a suggestion button. You can send that in. And we take those very seriously. We research them. We get the people involved. And, some of them are great ideas that have a huge impact, and other ones are very good ideas as well that, maybe don't make sense at this particular time or what have you. But please keep those ideas coming. We very much appreciate them. So with that, I think I'm getting the hook. So be safe out there. Have a great weekend. Again, we got that Roadside Inspections coming up May 4th to the 6th. But, those are the things that we do every day as professional drivers anyway, so we shouldn't have to really do anything different when it comes to an event like that.